So, good evening, everyone. We're holding Iggeres HaKodesh. We're in the middle of Siman Chaf Vav on page Kuf Mem Daled, middle of the page, opposite of page 286. We're holding Umasha Kosav Harizal.
We just do a little summary from last week.
Yes, we always start with the summary from last week. A recap, as Ruven knows the language, right? It's a recap.
That's your language. That's your language.
Yeah. So, in the two classes before last week, so at length, we analyzed, discussed, and we cited extensively a reading from the Zohar, from the Raya Mehemna, in the section of the Zohar, where it seems to imply that Kabbalah is the Eitz HaChaim, whereas learning Nigla, Mishnayos, Gemara, Braisos, that's all Eitz Hadas Tevara. Among other assertions that the Zohar seemingly makes over there. Now, the Rebbe asked them this many questions. First and foremost, how can we say that only certain parts of Torah are the Eitz HaChaim? And then last week, we started already answering. We started answering the questions. The first thing we said, that the Rebbe said, is that no, Chas v'Shalom, to say that only certain parts of Torah Eitz HaChaim, every single word of Torah is Eitz HaChaim, And every single word of Torah, Torah Shebal Peh, all of Torah Shebal Peh, is from Malchus Datzilus. Malchus Datzilus, we know it says in the Tikkun Zohar, Malchus Peh, that Hashem is mouth, Torah Shebal Peh, right? There's Torah Shebal Peh, that's what it says in the Tikkun Zohar, Malchus Peh, Torah Shebal Peh, Karina La. If it's Malchus Datzilus, that's Elokus. In Atzilus, everything is godliness. There's no Eitz Hadas. It's not Eitz Hadas. It's Eitz HaChaim. Every word of Torah is Eitz HaChaim. So what does the Zohar mean to say? Not that there are parts of Torah, Chas v'Shalom, that are Eitz Hadas, but there are certain parts of Torah whose subject matter is worldly things that come from Eitz Hadas, Isser v'Heter, kosher and posel. What is it all about? That's what we spoke about at length last week. That all of these things is when you say something is kosher, something is or something is posel, and you say something is usher, something is mutter, we're talking about an object which is a klipa object, and the question is, can I elevate it? Can I not elevate it? So this klipa object, whether it's the cup of water that I'm holding in my hand, the klipa object that we're talking about, that is from the Eitz Hadas. So certain parts of Torah deal with Eitz Hadas. The Torah in its entirety is Eitz HaChaim. The Torah Shebal Peh completely is Malchus Datzilus. However, certain parts of Torah deal with the Eitz Hadas. That's what we said last week. And now let's continue inside. Masha Kosav Harizal, and that which the Harizal says, let's do this a little outside first, then we'll continue inside. And this is something, by the way, we encountered earlier on in Tanya, in Likutei Amarim, in the late 30s of the chapter, in Perek Lametes over there, Perek Mem. The Rebbe said, the Arizal says like this, that we know that there are four worlds, and we also know that each world has its Torah. The Torah of Atzilus is Kabbalah. Kabbalah is from Atzilus. Gemara. The Gemara is in the world of Bria. Mishnah is in the world of Yetzirah, and Chumash Mikra is in the world of Asiyah. That's what the Arizal says. So first of all, it's funny, just on a very simple level. We spoke about this last week already?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It should be the other way around.
Should be
everything is derived from one another.
Right.
Mishnah is derived from Mikra.
But the bigger issue here is, at least for the purposes of our conversation, the what?
Well, you did that last week.
That the bigger issue is that we just said that Teresh Mappa, all of it is Malchus Datzilus. Yeah. And suddenly we're finding out, no. The Gemara is Malchus of Bria, and Mishnah is Malchus of Yetzirah, and Chumash is Malchus of Asiyah. What does that mean? So let's do this inside. So what that Arizal means to say.
How many lines from there?
We're holding up page Kuf Mem Daled, halfway down from the page. Tzeni Leimar means to say Levush Malchus the Yetzirah. That Mishnah entered the Levush, a garment of Malchus of Yetzirah. Shenislab Shabbat, but what is within the garment is Malchus Datzilus. Is Malchus of Atzilus. Remember, all of Torah Shebal Peh is Malchus of Atzilus. Malchus the Yetzirah, Malchus of Yetzirah, Nikra Shivcha, is called a shivcha, a maidservant, legabe malchus datzilus. Why? Because it is subservient to malchus datzilus. It is only a garment, a levush for malchus of atzilus. Umalchus de bria, malchus of bria, which is higher than Yitzira, nikra amma. It's called the amma hivriya, which is a higher level than a shivcha. A proof for this, the Masha, Kosav Arizal, that which the Rizal writes, the Mikra, the Hainu Teresh B'Ksav, the Rizal writes that Mikra, which is Teresh B'Ksav, Hu Ba'asiyah, is in the world of Asiyah. Vari Mefurish B'Zayir, B'Kisvi Arizal, it's stated explicitly in the Zayar, and in the writings of that Rizal, Mekoimis Ein Mispar, in innumerable Banta places, Shehu Tuferes, Shehu Zad Atzilus, that Mikra is Teferes, which is Zad Atzilus. Ella rather means shemishlabeshes basiya. All it means is that mikra, in mikra malchus of atzilus is mislabish, comes in the garment of the world of asiya. V'chein hu behedyan. This is taka what it says clearly. The Sefer HaKavanas and Sefer HaKavanas with Arizal, it says shemikra u'mishna v'talmud v'kabbalah kulam b'atzilus. All of them are from the world of atzilus. Ella. Mikra mislavish ad asiya. Mikra comes down all the way into asiya. Mishnah ad yetzira. The Talmud is bebriya. So what does this mean?
Why they are assigned in such a fashion.
Did we explain this all last week already?
No.
What this means?
No.
Okay.
No, we just started.
You just mentioned that part of it about the
You just highlighted.
Gemara, Mishnah, and Chumash.
Right.
Different.
Something we've spoken about many times. The world of Atzilus is the world of Elokus. The world of Bria is the world of intellect, of understanding. The world of Yetzirah is the world of emotions. And the world of Asiya is the world of physicality, of action. And obviously one is higher than the other. All of Torah originates in Atzilus. Teresh Bapez and Malchus d'Atzilus. Teresh B'Ksav is even higher in Teferes of Atzilus. But the question is, where does it come down until? Kabbalah comes from Atzilus, and even as we're learning it down over here, it remains on the level of Atzilus. What does that mean? Kabbalah is higher than Seichel, it's higher than intellect, it's higher than our feelings, and definitely higher than action. Which is why, if we're learning Kabbalah and you feel you don't understand anything, there's a reason for that. Okay? It's because it's from the world of Atzilus. It's not, Kabbalah is not something that we can really fully grasp. It's more something which even the word Kabbalah alludes to. It's something which we receive, something which we accept, something which we submit to, so to say, just like we submit to godliness. But to say I fully understand Kabbalah is a silly statement.
Does that go on the site?
Sorry?
It's on the site.
That's right, yeah. The Talmud, the whole idea of the Talmud is bina, is understanding. Talmud is all about questions and answers and explanations and proofs and disproofs, right? So that is Elokus, it's godliness, but suddenly godliness came down a level. Elokus comes down a level. And suddenly the Torah is now talking in the language of the world of Bria. What is the language of the world of Bria? It's the language of intellect. The Gemara has Hashem's wisdom. Hashem's Chachma comes down and enters the world of Bria and now talks the language of Bria. Then Hashem's wisdom comes down even further and comes down into the world of Yitzhak, the world of emotions. That's and that is the Mishnah, which is why we know how many emotions are there. There are 6. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Yisod, and we have Shisha Sidrei Mishnah because they represent the 6 midas. And what is the idea of the Mishnah is not about seichel. The Mishnah is not about so much understanding. That's more the Gemara. The Mishnah is about what the halacha is, kosher, puzzle, right? Where does the halacha come from? That's from Hashem's midas. Where Hashem's chesed shines, the answer is kosher. The answer is tahir. Where Hashem's gevura shines, the answer is puzzle. The answer is treif. The answer is tamik. So the Mishnah is an expression of Hashem's midas. You don't sit there. The Mishnah is not about the chachma. The wisdom is not revealed in the Mishnah. Excuse me. The wisdom is revealed in the Talmud, and then we come down and we have Mikra. Mikra is in the world of Asiyah. Why is Mikra in the world of Asiyah? Yes.
But they have a statement. They said, "Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chaim." How you put all this together? If Elu ve'elu, it's all Elokim Chaim. So here we're saying that the Mikra is different.
That the
Gemara
Mikra, you're
is
saying
different.
that the Mikra is the lowest form
no,
there.
no.
And that's Mipiat
Let me,
Rula, so how
let,
could
let,
that be?
let me finish. By the time you finish, you won't have this
We
question.
did this last week too.
No, we didn't give the answer.
No, that was,
Right,
yeah, you
yeah.
didn't give the answer,
Okay.
but that
Give the
was
answer.
my question back then.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're saying. We're saying all of it is Elokus. The question is how far it comes down. It's not that doesn't contradict the Elu ve'elu Elokim Chaim. So, what we find interesting about Mikra, what differentiates Mikra or Chumash, not only Chumash, but the whole Tanakh from Torah Shebaal Peh, is that in the Tanakh, the holiness is in the words. In Torah Shebaal Peh, in the Mishnah and the Gemara, the holiness is in the ideas. What's the proof? What's the proof for that? The proof is that if you read Mishnayos or if you read Gemara and you don't understand what you're saying, you didn't do the mitzvah of Limud HaTorah. But you said the words. But you didn't understand the ideas. The holiness is the concept. The words are only the vehicles for the ideas. So the words are special in as much as they contain much wisdom. But the point is the wisdom, not the words. Which is why also, you look in the Gemara and you look on the side. You have the Bach and you have the Gra and you have like all the different Gersayos. And does it ever bother you? In the Torah, no. It's the same, the exact same Torah. Why is that? Because in Torah, every letter is imprecise. In the Gemara and Rashi, you have every single different Gersayos. Because again, people weren't so careful with transmitting every letter because it's not about the letter. Now, I'm not saying that obviously the words of Gemara and the words of Mishnah, you need to look at the words because the ideas, the words are precise, and by analyzing the words, you come to deeper ideas. But ultimately, the words are only levushim. The kedusha is not in the words. The kedusha is in the
wisdom.
in the ideas that they express. Right.
But you do gain something by saying it over, even if you don't understand.
You're in Torah Shebaal Peh, no. I mean, even in Shulchan Aruch it talks about, I think, if I remember correctly, about Ezom Mekayman. In Shulchan Aruch it says that the Ezom Mekayman, if you don't understand what you're saying, you're not wasting your time. Say straight in Shulchan Aruch, because it's Torah Shebaal Peh.
I think you have to gain something if you're saying it over. You gain
Again,
something.
this is a
from
Shaila and Halacha. Shaila and Halacha. Were you Yetzer Mitzvah Talmud Torah? In other words,
I understand.
can I make
it's
a
not-
You're
Shabbat
saying
Rabban
if a
v'Kol
person
Ha'amim
is
v'Nasalonu
learning
v'Steirasa?
and he doesn't get everything.
I understand.
That's a different
I
thing.
understand that it's not the best way to do it, but if you're saying
If a
it
person is
over,
trying,
you do
Hashem-
get something out of it.
But you weren't Mekayim the Mitzvah. You can't make the Birchas HaTorah on that.
Right, but you're still
Okay,
getting something.
I think we're on the
out of
same
it.
page. As opposed to, I'm not so sure there's holiness that comes through it, but at the end of the day, when it comes to Chumash, if you read Chumash, if you read the words, you don't understand a word of what you're saying,
Yes.
you're Mekayim the Mitzvah of Talmud Torah, even L'yadam HaKa'amar, and you can make the Birchas HaTorah on it. And that's why you can call up someone to the Torah and give him Aliyah, and the person doesn't understand a word of what's being said, it doesn't make a difference. Because he's reading the words of the Torah. Either he's reading it himself silently with the Balkari, and if not, you have the concept of Shemea Koina, right? At the end of the day, and therefore you don't. And why is that? Because in Mikra, the Kedusha is in the words itself. And this is, by the way, this is absolutely mind-blowing. That the Eibishter, the fact that the Hashem has been samson himself, he contracts himself, and he enters the world of the Talmud, the world of Chachma, in itself, by the way, is mind-blowing. Elokus, which is believable, which is infinite. Can you imagine the contraction that Hashem's wisdom has to have in order that now it should come out in the form of wisdom? And then you have even lower in the form, not even of wisdom, in the form of Mishnayis, in the form of Midas. In Mikra, the Kedusha of the Torah presents itself in the forms of the letters. In the letters, physical letters. That's Olam Asiyah. Which is why we say Mikra is in the world of Asiyah, because it talks our language. And by the way, every single world has its language. In our world, the language of the world it's a world of action, and Bria, it's the world of intellect. The Torah of the world addresses the world on its terms. And by the way, that's the makar of the world. In every single world, the Torah of that world, we talk about Istakel Be'eraiso Bara Alma, that Hashem looks in the Torah and creates the worlds. In every single world, that world is created through the Torah that talks the language of that world.
Yeah, but all of it is down in the world of Asiyah. We have Mishnah, Gemara. It's all culminates over here.
You have Talmud
so what you're
Torah.
saying that's in a different world.
You have Torah in the higher worlds also.
Who learns Torah?
Come
behind
Mifla give him a
words?
shift in the Rikeh. What do you mean? The Gemara that talks about Gan Eden, they're busy there, they're learning Torah. Where's learning Torah?
They're repeating the words, you
But,
gain
but
something.
you have different worlds. Where's the Masifta of the key?
But you're also missing a primary point. When you're sitting and learning Gemara, you're in the world of Bria.
What do you mean by world then?
The world is a spiritual state. If Bria is the spiritual state of Bina, of understanding Hashem, so when you're learning Gemara, you're in the world of Bria. When you're learning Mishnah, it's the world of Yetzirah.
So you're learning.
So why are you calling it a world? You're in a spiritual state. World means something different.
Rebbe Reuven.
From-
Rebbe Reuven.
Yeah.
Rebbe Reuven.
Now you're in trouble.
You're sitting here for 7 years and you still think that a world is a place?
That's what a world is. That's
No.
What's the definition of a world?
Reuven, we have to start over Tanya.
We have-
We will start.
The world is not a place. Gan Eden is a place. Gan Eden is here. Gehenna is here. Atzilus is here. Everything. These are spiritual states.
It's all here, you mean? Yeah.
The
all right.
word here is a silly word because here implies something which is spatial. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not. These aren't.
What?
These are spiritual states. They're not places. So here, there, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere, and it's nowhere. It's not in a where. It's not in a place. It doesn't. It's not three-dimensional.
It has no space altogether.
It's like the Twilight Zone. It's beyond space.
There's no space. L'mayla min hazman. L'mayla has no space.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Have you ever taken a swim in the Yam HaTalmud?
Never did.
Never did. You heard that expression?
Yeah, Yama Talmud.
Yam HaTalmud. Where's the Yam HaTalmud? I want to know. Next this summer, if I get a little hot, I want to know. Where's the Yam HaTalmud? I can go. I want to take a swim there.
It's next to Bat Yam.
Do you see where I'm going with this, Ruben?
Yama Talmud is like an expression of something that's a huge, vast.
Is it fake?
It's-
Does a Yam HaTalmud exist?
No, not physical.
It doesn't exist.
It's a metaphor of some sort.
Because it's not physical, it means it doesn't exist? Are we
It's a
that limited?
metaphor means saying
No,
Torah is so vast.
it's a spiritual, Yam HaTalmud is a spiritual reality. It's a spiritual thing. And when you immerse yourself in there, and you go in there, people that throw themselves in the Yam HaTalmud, it's not in any place because it's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual state.
You're saying like if you take a trip on a plane or you take a trip in the Gemara, it could be one and the same.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
No, that's what this gentleman said.
I think we need a little Schliverwitz here.
Have you ever been in a state of simcha?
Sure.
Where is that?
It's an emotional state. It's a mental, emotional state.
Good. It's not a place, it's a state. Exactly.
But I never called the Olam a simcha. I did that.
Good. Now,
Yeah.
It's a no-touch state.
you ever heard the expression Olam HaMachshava? Never heard that? No, never heard
No,
it?
no, Olam Machshava, no.
This person knows an Olam HaMachshava. It's not a place, it's a...
Why is it important to know what state you're in?
Dreamland.
Which why, like you're learning,
Dreamland,
why
that's
do you
what I
care
heard.
which world you're in? Like it's interesting, obviously, but
You hit
what's
the,
why do we need to know?
I never understood
We're gonna
that.
find this
I
out
thought it was
as we
a
move on.
place. Olam, this, that would contract itself.
Dream world. Yeah.
Yeah, Dreamland, that's it.
Dreamland, dreamland.
So, now we're seeing something very interesting. So which is greater? Kabbalah, Talmud, Mikra, or Mishnah? They all have the same origin. The greatness of Mikra is that despite its lofty origin, it's able to come down all the way into our world and speak the language of our world.
Piagvura.
Mishnah can't do that. Mishnah doesn't come down all the way to our world.
But you're
Talmud
saying
doesn't
that
come
it's,
on.
but you're saying that it's higher than Mikra.
That is its greatness. Its greatness is that it comes down all the way into this world. Let me ask you a question. Take a little, take a candle, right? How far is it the light gonna extend? The sun, how far does its light extend?
As far as people can see it.
Actually, Mikra, as we're seeing over here, Mikra is sources in Teferes of Atzilus. Tirish Vapeh, all of it is sourced in Malchus of Atzilus. And yet Mikra comes all the way down here, which tells you of its greatness, of how high it is at its source. Stays.
It's Piagvura, so that has to be the greatest thing.
I'm not disagreeing with it. And because of the Piag Vura, it's able to come down and enter our world, our reality, and contract itself into the words of the Torah.
So you're saying that the Mishnah, which is a commentary on Mikra, is greater than the Mikra, and Gemara, which is a commentary on the Mishnah, that's greater than the Mishnah.
It's higher, not greater. Higher, not greater. Meaning that it's on the world, the level of the world of Bria. Mikras, they're all sourced in the same place, in Hashem. The question is how far down they come. How far down they come, and to be able to be in touch with our reality. Okay.
And Zohar is the highest.
Zohar is the highest, meaning that it didn't enter the system and the realities of the world. Again, the Gemara comes from the same place as Zohar. It all comes from Hashem's, but the Gemara has a levush, has a garment. It has the garment of Seichel. Zohar doesn't have it. Try learning it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay? Doesn't have that levush. Mishnah has a...
We're doing that now with Tanya, and it's not...
There we go.
It's not going.
Okay? It's missing that levush. We're trying to give it a little bit of levush, but there's no way you'll understand a piece of Gemara, a piece of Tanya, like you understand a piece of Gemara. That's... Okay.
How was the Masorah of Kabbalah? Was there who was Makabel that Masorah? It's just like it's only Yechida, Segula.
Yeah.
It's not public knowledge.
Correct. Ish v'pi ish.
Who are the ones
The
today?
Gemara talks. Ein darshan b'maisa merkava, maisa bereishis, only b'shnayim. You're only allowed to teach it to one student or two students. It was a whole, but that was today. Today, once we had the Arizal revealed everything. The Arizal said
Made
that
it public knowledge.
mitzvah legalis is a chachma. Yeah, he said that it's time that everyone should learn. Yeah, as we approach, as we get closer to the times of Mashiach. So,
He also said similar things to the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rabbi, like to make it more public. And
right, Mashiach told the Baal Shem Tov that when your well springs are spread,
yeah, so did the Arizal say something
It's
like that?
Masorah.
That's
the Arizal said that in our generation is mitzvah legalis is a chachma. It's a mitzvah to reveal the chachma of Kabbalah. Now, what that means is Kabbalah, as we mentioned, stays in the world of Atzilus. Kabbalah doesn't in any which way engage with Eitz Hadas. Eitz Hadas is the reality of our world. And although our world, you might want to say, is the ultimate Eitz Hadas, but really Klippa begins already in the higher worlds. Already even in the world of Yitzirah, already we start having Klippa. So Malchus of Atzilus, Torah Shebal Peh, it comes down into the worlds, and I open up a Gemara, I open up a Mishnah, what's it talking about? It's talking about a piece of an ox, it's talking about a piece of cow, it's talking about the chves, a piece of garment, a orla, klayim.
Boar.
So when Torah actually enters the reality in the system of worlds to address and discuss about it, to a certain extent, that is called Eitz Hadas. Not because Torah is Eitz Hadas. As we mentioned earlier, every part of Torah is Eitz HaChaim. But relative to Kabbalah, which doesn't even have any connection to Eitz Hadas, the Nigla of Torah, which deals with Eitz Hadas, is also called Eitz Hadas, not because it really is Eitz Hadas, but it's because of its...
Relativity of it.
Yeah, and because of
How
its
it relates to
association
people.
with Eitz Hadas. What's the purpose of it coming down to Eitz Hadas? Its purpose of coming down to Eitz Hadas is, as we're going to find out, that we have a Klippa reality. How do we elevate the Klippa reality? Is through Torah. So Torah comes and enters the Eitz Hadas reality, which is the Mishnah, the Gemara. It enters it with the purpose of what we call Birur HaNitzotzos, of being able to elevate the whole Eitz Hadas. And when that happens, when Torah enters the Eitz Hadas reality, again, relative to Kabbalah, it's also called Eitz Hadas. Is it really Eitz Hadas? No, it's Eitz HaChaim. But relative to Kabbalah, that's what it is called.
Did Rabbi Akiva made also Eitz HaChaim? Behave Eitz HaChaim according to Rabbi Akiva. Did you hear that?
No. So, and here's the... So that sounds like Kabbalah is greater, right? Kabbalah has no connection to Eitz Hadas. Actually, however, what is the whole purpose of our creation and what is the whole purpose of everything?
Elevate.
Is to elevate.
Elevate.
How do we elevate the world? Is dafka through Shnayis, learning the halacha, learning Nigla. which is why, and this is where the Rebbe is heading to, which is why talking now in Golos, what is the main avodah? The main avodah in learning Torah is not Kabbalah. Yes, we also learn a little Kabbalah. We also learn a little Chassidus. But when we're learning Chassidus, learning Kabbalah, we're not elevating anything. It's dafka through learning Mishnah and Gemara because it enters the Eitz Hadas in order to be able to elevate it, that we are actually bringing about this world to its place of completion and accomplishing what we have to, which is why, going back to what we spoke about with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, where Shimon Bar Yochai, even though he knew the whole Zer, what the Alter Rebbe established, what was he doing most of his time, Shimon Bar Yochai? He was learning Mishnayos and Braisos. As you said, the 600 different volumes of the Mishnah that were around during his time. Why is that? Why wasn't he spending? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai could have said, well, this is Eitz Hadas. I want the purest Eitz Chaim. I want Kabbalah, which never departed the world of Atzilus. You could have said that, but then you'd be missing the point. Because our avoid in the world today, because we live in a broken world, in a world of klippas, to elevate it, and we elevate it dafka through learning nigla and through learning halacha. And that Alter Rebbe is going to explain as we move on over here.
So what is the point of learning Kabbalah then in this world? That has no purpose?
So Kabbalah, it has a purpose, but it's a different purpose. The purpose is because Mashiach is coming soon. We need to prepare ourselves for Mashiach, and there's certain light. But the primary avodah today, yeah, for sure.
But you're not elevating, you're not taking it out of its klipa.
We never said that's connected.
No, the mitzvah and taking out the klipa is nothing.
Which is very interesting because in other words, why do we learn Torah? This is an interesting question to talk about. This is really what this Perek of Tanya sheds light on. Why do we learn Torah? It's a fair question.
To know how to do things.
So on a very basic level, the answer people also are going to say is Leda, as a Maisa Asher Yasam. I have to know what the Eibishter wants me to do. Yeah. There's a higher level in that. Higher level is I learn Torah Lishma, and learning Torah Lishma is not to know what to do. Because when you're learning Torah to know what to do, then it is then you're doing it. Why? You're learning it. You're doing it for the mitzvahs. It's not Lishma. It's not for the Torah. A higher level of Torah is Lishma. You're doing it to connect yourself to the Eibishter to learning Torah. As we know,
and that itself is a mitzvah. So you're doing it to serve Hashem.
But it's for the purpose of the Torah and connecting Hashem and learning Torah. You have the Rebbe talks about Nasa v'Nishma. We all think that the greatness of Nasa v'Nishma, the particular order of Nasa v'Nishma, is that the greatness of the order is that if it would be Nishma v'Nasa, so what would be the problem? We say, I'm not completely committed and bottled to Hashem.
I want to first hear what he says.
Yeah, and then I'll decide whether to do it. That's not when you have Nasa v'Nishma, then it's a perfect Nasa. Because then your commitment to the Eibishter is absolute. The Rebbe says there's something else here also. If you'd have Nishma v'Nasa, the Nishma also is incomplete. Why? Because Nishma v'Nasa means I'm learning in order to be able to do. No, that's not. Limud HaTorah Lishma is you're not learning in order to know what to do. So first is Nasa. First I'm doing, and I do it. And then it's a perfect Nasa, because the Nasa is not contingent upon understanding why you're doing it. And after I'm already doing it, then Nishma, then I'm going to learn, then I'm learning. Why am I learning? I know how to do it. I'm learning it in order to connect to the Eibishter. Good.
Oh, connect with the Eibishter?
Yeah.
What to do?
No. The lower level is to know what to do. And then a higher level of Nishma comes after the Nasa. I already know what to do.
Oh.
I'm already doing it, and still I'm learning.
Yeah, but how you know what to do if you don't know what to do?
So that's
the Nasa goes before the Nishma.
So first you have to learn the basics, to know what to do. But then after that, you keep on learning. And why am I keeping learning? What's the Nishma after the Nasa? I'm already doing it. So why am I learning? I'm learning because...
it's L'Shem Mitzvah.
Yeah. But here the Alter Rebbe is introducing...
Our main thing in the world, before you were staying and then you went into another...
Sorry?
You said our main thing in
I'm getting there. Here the Alter Rebbe is introducing us to an even deeper understanding of the purpose of Torah. It's not about knowing what to do. It's not even about connecting to the Eibishter, which they're both true. This is another understanding, which is that we're learning Torah in order to be Mevar in its Eitzes. We're learning Torah in order to be able to elevate the sparks and thereby bring Mashiach. What are the sparks in Torah? So because Torah enters a place of Klippan, so therefore there is a lot of times there is unclarity in Torah itself. Torah is Hashem's wisdom. And it's in Golus. It's in Golus in the Klippa, so to say, in Klippas Nega. And because of that, there's unclarity in the Torah. Which is why There's so many different halachas where we don't understand the reasons of them, or there are many different applications that we don't know, which is why we started off with the Gemara, right? How many volumes of the Gemara? How many Masechtas are there? 63 Masechtas or so, or less, Mishnah. And today, the tens of thousands of Svarim that there are. What are all these Svarim all about? What are all these Svarim about? They're about digging deeper, understanding the reasons behind everything, and then using those reasons to be able to apply things to other places also, and to new scenarios or different scenarios. Why weren't these things revealed in the first place? The things weren't revealed because there's a klipa covering it. If it were not for the klipa covering in Torah, then we would know everything. And it takes a lot of work in learning Torah to break that klipa and to reveal the godliness within everything and be able to answer all the questions and understand all the reasons, understand the deeper reasons. And every single time we do that, we're breaking the klipa, redeeming the Torah from its klipa, and thereby bringing Mashiach. This is the basic idea. The Hashem next week we will we'll do this inside and do it more in depth.
When Mashiach comes, what would change then?
And that's why when
What's the architecture would
Mashiach
be
comes,
different?
we're going to be learning Kabbalah, because the avodah of Birur and Nitzutz is going to be finished, and therefore Nigler we're going to know, because nothing's going to be hidden anymore, and our avodah then is going to be Kabbalah, which is what
So what would be
the Zohar
mitzvah?
says.
So what kind of mitzvah? We have to put on tefillin, nothing.
The mitzvahs will be the same. Oh, you're saying, then it'll be for higher Yehudim to be mamshach higher Iggeres. That's the purpose of mitzvahs then.
How would that be? How would you perform the mitzvahs to bring it to a higher level?
It's the
What would
same.
change? What's going to change?
But because there is no more clip anymore, so then the mitzvahs will be about achieving higher levels in Kedusha.